Hi, it's Rick from For Community, creating community spaces so you can connect with others and also with God. When is different okay and when is it not? When I was a teenager, I was in a church play around the Easter season, and for some reason they chose me to be Jesus. I mean, we're talking about back in the 80s, late 80s, when all of the neon colors were around, and we just did things big back then, like the big hair and the big everything, and nothing was CG, everything was real. And we wanted to do this really big Easter play, and they chose me because at that time, I was the little guy. I mean, I'm still pretty short, but I mean, I was short and I was also the little guy. So I made the perfect Jesus back then because they had this idea where they made this huge cross. I mean, huge. It was, as it stood on the ground, there was about 4 feet between the bottom of the cross and the little stand that they made for me to stand on. And then the platform already was about 4 feet off of the regular ground, I guess. And then they made a stand on top of the platform that was about 4 feet high. So when they finally got me onto the top of this thing, I was maybe 12 to 15 feet above the ground. And because we wanted to do it big, it was late 80s, something like that. Lots of neon going around, lots of bigness going around. We wanted to be very flashy for our play. Different is very cool. Different is great. Until it's not. So I was up there on the cross, maybe about 12, 15 feet above the ground, tied to the thing so that I wouldn't fall off of it as they lifted me to this insane height, whatever it was. And then when is different not okay? When things just are not okay. The jerry-rigging thing that they set up for the bigness of this cross snapped. And there I was on this cross, tied to the cross, dangling 15 roughly feet above the ground, as I then began to fall forward and sideways to my doom. Now, thankfully, I can report to you that I was not killed in that accident. And also I can report to you that the church, as quickly as they could, erased it from their memories so that we never ever again talked about that scenario. When is different okay and when is it not? Different is okay until it is not. What about you? Can you think of a time that you experienced when you were doing something different and it was awesome and it was cool for a while, and then suddenly it was not and it turned out badly somehow? How about pausing the video and sharing that story with the people you're watching with? Today's video is based on Colossians chapter 2, verses 16 to 19. In this passage, we see the encouragement to be different. However, we also see a heads up that being different isn't the point, and sometimes being different can get us hurt. Colossians chapter 2, 16 to 19. So don't let anyone condemn you for what you eat or drink, for not celebrating certain holy days or new moon ceremonies or Sabbaths, for these rules are only shadows of the reality yet to come, and Christ himself is that reality. Don't let anyone condemn you by insisting on pious self-denial or the worship of angels, saying they have visions about these things. Their sinful minds have made them proud, and they're not connected to Christ, the head of the body. For he holds the whole body together with its joints and ligaments, and it grows as God nourishes it.
Oh, hello. What type of smoothie would you like?
Kiwi, please.
Coming right up. Okay, here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, hey, have you watched the For Community video yet?
No.
Make sure you look in the background for all the cool characters. Oh, and don't forget to watch this week's episode of Connect HQ.
Okay.
Hello, remember to watch the video. That's right, watch the video.
Daddy, stop playing with my toys.
Here's the point of this video. Different is okay until it's not okay. In the text, different was absolutely okay. Namely, when the example of the people around us are doing things that are completely meaningless toward our friendship with Jesus and actually pull us outside of the friendship with Jesus, then different is absolutely okay. However, there's a limit to the difference we can be, particularly as it isolates us from other Jesus followers. Heads up, toward the end of the video, I'm going to comment briefly on the difference between religion and spirituality and an idea about how to navigate the two. So let's break this down into 2 points. First, let's look at when different is okay, and then let's look at when different is not okay. First of all, different is okay when? The text actually says, "So don't let anyone condemn you for what you eat or drink, or for not celebrating certain holy days or new moon ceremonies or Sabbaths, for these rules are only shadows of the reality yet to come, and Christ himself is that reality." The culture this text was written into is certainly different than ours, but we can still understand this without too much trouble, without digging too much into history. We see religious celebrations, traditions, the normal schedules here. We see that people had a way of doing things within their normal religious expression. So to keep it simple, people were getting lost in the religion and losing their spirituality. They were losing God. They were so caught up with their style of doing faith that they missed connecting with God personally. The passage is saying that all of these celebrations and the days that we meet on these celebrations, whatever else we want to do, they all somehow point to the reality that we find in Jesus, but they're not in and of themselves Jesus. As a matter of fact, sometimes they can pull us away from Jesus because we focus so much on the religion and on the tradition that we entirely miss the relationship that's behind it. We can become so religious that there's no relationship. And where there's so much religion around us that it's no longer helping us grow closer to Jesus, then absolutely be different and make sure that your Jesus following looks different than the people around you. Because Jesus following should actually be following the person of Jesus and bringing us into that closer relationship with him. Our personal connection with Jesus is more important than the stuff that we do in the name of religion. I'm not saying that tradition is bad, and this text is also not saying that tradition and religion is bad. The text tells us that the value of the stuff that we do, the tradition that we do, the religions that we might be a part of, is found in how they point us to Jesus and how much they inspire us to draw closer to him relationally. Jesus is the real deal. Let's talk about you. The way that you follow Jesus may look different than the way others follow Jesus, and that is okay, because all of our individual Jesus following is what we do within the context of our own personalities to draw closer into a friendship with God. That is okay. The value in our traditions and our religion and whatever else we do is found in its ability to point to Jesus and help us to draw closer to him. However, the true value is actually connecting personally with Jesus. So if you're connecting with Jesus personally, then you're doing okay. Your connection with Jesus can look different. You have permission to connect with Jesus personally in a way that doesn't look the same as me or as anyone else. Now let's get a little nitty-gritty, just a little nitty-gritty about the finer details here regarding the specific points. First of all, the church can meet any day the church wants to meet. What's important is the gospel and the personal connection it gives us with God. Our growth comes from our connection with God through the power of the gospel, not through things that look spiritual. So if you're the kind of Christian that would prefer meet on a Saturday or a Friday instead of a Sunday, that's okay. Second of all, your relationship with God doesn't need to look like anyone else's as long as you're connecting with God through the simple gospel. And you're connected to a group that also is connecting with Jesus through the simple gospel. And thirdly, your relationship with God needs to look different than others. When others are distracted by things that are not simple gospel centric, and others are enforcing practices that are not simple gospel centric. So different is okay until different is not okay. So here's the second point. Different isn't okay when the text actually says, don't let anyone condemn you by insisting on pious self-denial or the worship of angels, saying they have had visions about these things. Their sinful minds have made them proud, and they're not connected to Christ, the head of the body. For he holds the whole body with its joints and ligaments, and it grows as God nourishes it. One thing that really stands out to me is that this passage wasn't written to an individual. It wasn't written to you. It wasn't written to me. It was written to a group of people who were all together trying to follow Jesus. As they were trying to follow Jesus, their expressions of being a Jesus follower needed to work together. Diversity is awesome, but diversity is discovered in community, not in solitude. So here's a quick note to say that different isn't okay when different isolates you from other Jesus followers. There's a reference in this passage to Jesus holding the whole body together. And the whole body, that's a reference to the church. The church is not a building. The church is the people. It's people who follow Jesus. Everyone who is a Jesus follower makes up the church. So on Sundays or whatever day you happen to go to church, you're not going to church. You are the church who is gathering together. Not only is there a reference to all of us, the church, or also called the whole body, there's also a reference here to health. Health comes from God. God is growing the body, the whole church, including you, hopefully, as we come together as Jesus followers. Very specific point here that we can all be different, and we can celebrate those differences together as long as we are actually coming together with our differences in tow. Our differences not only mean the way we follow Jesus is going to look a little different from others, it also means that we all have different things to contribute to the larger whole. We have a place among other Jesus followers. Different is not okay when different means that you're disconnected from all of the other Jesus followers. Now, here are two really big ideas to ponder. I told you they were coming up in the beginning of the video. Here they are. Let's consider spirituality and let's consider religion. Some people say they don't like organized religion, but they still consider themselves spiritual. And I think that's awesome. True spirituality is relationship. It's relationship with God and relationship with others. So well done. You are halfway on track. Some people say how much they love their church. They have an organized way around thinking about God and how to come together as a group. So well done. You are halfway on track. We need both of those things to come together. It's not either or, it's both and. We need to be focused on relationship with God and also with others. We also need a way to think about God with some clarity so that we can all have this intelligent conversation about Him, keeping ourselves accountable to each other and making sure that we're connecting our individuality with the revealed truth that we know about God. When we pursue spirituality without religion, oh my goodness, we become our own gods. We can say anything we want about God. We can justify our actions any way we'd like to, all in the name of our version of what that relationship with God can look like, without accountability and without a grounding to some big idea, objective, universal truth, or the revealed truth, rather, that we find in the Bible. It's pretty easy to get off track and lose connection with God, replacing that connection by putting ourselves at the top where God should be. When we pursue religion without spirituality, we become something that we may recognize as toxic or purely social justice or too rigid or irrelevant or too oppressive. When we focus on the system we're in rather than on the relationship that we need with each other and God, then there is no God. It's just about doing stuff. We need both, and we can have both. We can be unique Jesus followers, all expressing our Jesus following differently. We can also find ourselves in community with one another, discovering a way to talk about God that's rooted to the revealed truth in the Bible and keeping us on track. We can and need to have both. We need both spirituality and religion. Here's a summary. Jesus followers all look very different, and that's okay because we all are very different. Different is great when it's connecting us with Jesus, grounded in the Bible, and rooting us to other Jesus followers. Different is not great when we're living in isolation. and making up our own interpretations without the input of other Jesus followers, and when we're not grounded in the Bible or rooted to a community of Jesus followers. In that case, different isn't great. So, how are you doing? Is what you are doing helping you connect more deeply to Jesus? Is it grounded in the Bible? And are you connected with other Jesus followers to get some feedback about the friendship and to figure out how you all work together and how you all strengthen each other as you come together? That's it from me to you for now. Would you please like? Would you please share? Would you please subscribe? Would you please ask for the link? That would be awesome. We still meet on Zoom Sundays at 10:30 a.m. and 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time for community, creating community spaces so you can connect with others and also with God. See you next time.